Today, we will talk about the SAP Third Party process. Do we need to post good receipts? When can we post the billing? After or before the invoice from the vendor? All these questions in this video. Have you seen my last video? We have talked about the SAP condition technique. Check it out. Also, if you don't want to miss any of these videos again, please subscribe and turn notifications on. This process starts when we create a sales order to our customer. In that moment, a purchase requisition is created automatically by the system. Then when we convert into a PO, that we send to our supplier. Then the supplier sends directly the goods to our customer and send the invoice to us. We have registered this invoice in Logistics invoice verification. And then we can create the billing to our customer. As you can see in this case, inventory management is not affected in any way because the supplier is sending the goods directly to our customer. So they are not going physically to our storage locations. But in this process, it is possible and more it is recommended that you can post a statistical good receipt so you can track in your own system this situation. So the process would be that when the supplier sends the goods to the customer, you will be informed and you will post a good receipt in your system, and then you will post the invoice verification. Only in that moment you will be able to create the billing to your customer. This is the so-called third-party process without ASN or Advanced Shipping Notification. In the case where the vendor delays in sending you the invoice and you want to anyway bill your customer, in this case, we can ask the supplier to send an ASN in the moment that he delivers the goods. So in that moment, we will create an inbound delivery in our system, and advanced shipping notification can be done manually or by EDI. And when we post the good receipt based on the inbound delivery, we will be able to bill our customer. So we do not need to wait to post our logistics invoice verification. We will see these two processes in details in this video. Let's talk now about our master data. So first of all, we will take a look at our material. I have created material TAS 1000. And the most important point here is our item category group in the sales view. Here we have changed the norm, the standard item, and we have used bands, that is our third-party item. Then the rest of the fields are more or less standard in the material master. Then we have also created Inforecord for vendor 1111 in our purchase realization 1000 with a gross price of 10 euros per piece. And we have created as well a source list where we are fixing this vendor to our material. And related to sales, we have also created a pricing condition for our material in our sales org and distribution channel. And this is 15 euros per piece. Okay, let's see now our IMG and all the customizing points that are relevant to this scenario. And the sales and distribution, we have sales document item, and we had to define the item categories. And here we will see how task third-party item is set up. This is the item category on the sales order. As default, we have billing relevance F. It is according to the invoice. So in this case, the system will transfer the order to the billing due list when the invoice is already posted, the invoice from the vendor. In the case that we want to use the process with ASN, then we will have to use G. In this case, it will take into account when the good received was posted, and only in that moment the order can be billed and will be transferred to the billing due list. So this is how the item categories are maintained. And then we have the assignments of our item categories. Document type is the standard OR, and the item category group is the one from our material master bands. And for this, we have the default item category that is DAS. Then also related to this, in the case of billing, we have to take a look at the copy control between the order and the billing. In the standard process, we have billing type F2, sales document type OR. And if we go to the items, we will see that for task item category, we have the proposed quantity for the billing, it's F. So it is based on the quantity that it is on the invoice from the vendor. In the case that we want to use the process with ASN, we need to change this to E, so the quantity will be taken from the good receipt instead of the invoice verification from the vendor. So let's go back. Then we also have our schedule lines. The schedule lines for our process is CS, okay? And now we will see here in CS, the requisition will be created with document type NB, item category 5 third party, and account assignment X. Here in some cases, you will see that the account assignment used is 1, that is third party, instead of X, that is all auxiliary account assignments. But I prefer to use X, as we mentioned, because let's take a look at the account assignment settings. In purchasing, we have account assignment, maintain account assignment. If we use 1, we see that the good receipt flag is not set up, so we will not be able to post the statistical good receipt. But instead, if we use X, we are able to use the good receipt flag. Then it will be up to us if we want to leave it on or we can turn it off. Okay, but the option is already there. So this is why I prefer to use X. So that was the settings for the schedule lines, and then we also need to check the assignment of the schedule lines to our category, item category in tasks. So we see that for tasks we have CS. Okay. So basically from the material master with the item category group bands, we will determine the TAS item category, and then we will determine the schedule line CS for our third-party process. Let's start now with the SAP process third party without ASN. So we will start creating a sales order, transaction VA01, order type OR standard, and our sales area. We will use sold to ship to 1000, our material TAS 1000, order quantity, we will use 10. Okay, what we can see here already that based on our material and our document type, the item category task was automatically determined. And as we check our schedule lines, we will see also that our schedule line is CS. Okay, this is based on the customizing that we just seen before. And we can see also in our conditions that we have 15 euros per unit as we have our pricing condition record. So now when we save our sales order, we have our number 15903 for sales order that we can take a look. If we make a double click, we will see in the schedule line tab the number of the purchase requisition that was created and the item. And this information can also be seen here. We can see all the relevant information for the sales order, and also we can see the purchase requisition as well here. And we can make a double click and it will go directly to the transaction to display the purchase requisition. We can see that our account assignment is X and our item category is S as third party. Yeah. And we have our vendor assigned and our Inforecord. So with this, now we can convert this requisition into a PO and send it to our vendor. ME21N is the transaction, and we will be created in reference to our requisition. All the information is already populated. And we will see that as the delivery address will be the address from the customer. So we can save it. And now the PO was sent to our vendor. Next step will be that the vendor will send the goods to the customer, and in that moment they will let us know about the situation. But before that, if we check in the PO, we see that we have the good receipt that is already activated. But as we mentioned, we can now choose between setting the flag on or off based on our requirements. So now that the vendor is sending the goods to the customer, then we will able to post the good receipt. And this will be the statistical purpose, it good receipt. So here we have a good receipt. We can save. So good receipt is done. In this process, if we want to try now to create the billing, it was 903. You will see that it is not generated. Okay, this is not relevant. The item is not relevant for billing. So now let's move on and let's post our logistics invoice verification. So 75, we call our PO, set up our taxes, and 100. Okay, so post it. Everything is on green. Okay, invoice verification is already posted. So let's try now again to create our billing. And in this case, you see that the quantity transfer was based on the invoice verification. So now we can save. Good. This is then our process for third party without ASN. Now let's do the same, but let's do the changes in the customizing to manage the process with ASN. So we have to change sales document item, define item categories. So here we change our DAS from F to G. And then we also need to change the copy control from the order to the billing. Let's go to change mode. For billing F2, sales document OR, we go to item, DAS, and now the billing quantity, instead of F, we are going to use E, and we save this one as well. Okay, now let's replicate again our scenario. So we are going to create our sales order to the same customer for the same material and same quantity. Saved. Let's take a look. That is 15904. We can take a look then at our requisition. It is already here. Let's convert it into a new PO. Okay. We saved our PO, so now it is sent to the vendor. And in this case, as we are going to use the ASN process, in confirmations, we're going to put the confirmation control key. Good. So now when the vendors delivers the goods to the customer, they will send us an ASN. So we will post this manually, but it can be done also by EDI. "10 units, put away 10 units, so we can save. Have you used both scenarios with and without advanced shipping notifications? Let me know in the comments below. Here we have our inbound delivery, and we can post also the good receipt directly from here. Good receipt already done. So now that we post our good receipt, we can take a look if now we are able to set the billing. And you can see now in this moment, even if we have not posted the invoice verification from the vendor yet, the quantity is transferred based on the goods received quantities. So now we can bill our customer, and then when the information from the vendor arrives related to the invoice, we can post the invoice at a later step. Okay, so again we have 100, we change our taxes, everything is on green, and we can save. Okay, so now we also complete our process for third party with ASN. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you next time. Bye. If you enjoyed this video, please give a like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We will see you next time. Bye.